This is the, hold on, let's get position. Yes, all right. This is the audiobook rendition of The Case for Black Reparations. We don't need any more evidence. Hey, our name is Divinenurux, and it is an absolute pleasure to read this tale to you. So sit back, get you some tea, get you a little snacky or two. It's gonna get real. It's gonna get a little spicy. It's truth and opinion and research. So yeah, sit back, enjoy this serenade, and we are going to get to this story, y'all. So, The Case for Black Reparations, copyright 2020 by the Anons Productions. All rights reserved. No part of this publication may be reproduced, distributed, or transmitted in any form or by any means, including photocopying, recording, or other electronic or mechanical methods, without the prior written permission of the publisher, except in the case of brief quotations embodied in critical reviews and certain other non-commercial uses permitted by copyright law. For permission or publication requests, write to the Anons Productions, LLC. With the subject of attention, permission coordinator, TCFBR/WDNAME, at the address above. Printed in the United States of America. First distribution is 2021. First printing is to the future. Many thanks. A loving thanks to our parents, Brenda and Thurman Brown, who both sacrificed greatly and lovingly to even allow us to be here with you today. A loving thanks to our brother, Adam Brown, who always enabled us to follow our dreams and catch our errors if he could before we could even make them, and even after we make them. A loving thanks to our maternal grandmother, Mary Anderson, one of the wonderful matriarchs for whom we were named after, for teaching us to not take wooden nickels, and most importantly, always fight for what one feels is right. Thank you, family, for teaching us to not take anything personal and to stay lighthearted. Thank you to all the family, friends, and other lovely beings who were integral to our growth to being who we are today. It doesn't matter where we currently stand, we will always have love for you. We meant it when we first said it to each and every one of you, even those who we experienced toxicity with, because it made us stronger and more resolute in our realization that all need love, and sometimes even to give it. Special thanks to author Renee Etter and her insightful listen to Black and brown men and women killed by police, deputies, and security guards dating as far back as 1968. Renee, you are appreciated, and we hope you're doing well. A very special thanks to Boris Bitker, whose book this name is derivative of, made the vision sent to us from above seem more realistic than ever have. And most importantly, all the gratitude and blessings to the Most High for keeping us. All right, y'all ready? Ooh, this is exciting. Okay. Forward. We are in a time where we say rest in peace Kawan Bobby Charles, a 15 years young boy who was found dead after going missing when mysteriously found drowned in an infinitesimal depth of water, after being essentially kidnapped by an unknown white woman and her son. Like, y'all, what the fuck? By the way, can we mention why it was so hard to research the story for reference? Research a slightly misspelled variation. We might have indulged in green. I don't know. So anywho, here we are searching all these related stories, and why, oh dear world, are there baby boys being drowned everywhere? Lord of mercy. Why? Nearly a case in every freaking state in this country, and we know that this Google-generated search is only going to show us the most relevant information based on immediate location. Yes, generally speaking, your quote-unquote truth is only based within the information that you only already know. So when you change the information that you hold within, your knowledge, if you will, or in computer talk, in your database, when you add experiences, otherwise new information, we are all supposed to learn from them, right? And improve. So your quote-unquote truth will now need to contain some more quote-unquote truth. So here we are, and we are able to decide that we are ignorant of something, and not ignorant in the very negatively charged word we feel in our minds, or out of our mouths if we're feeling bold that day. That makes the person it's directed at feel immediately ashamed, anger, and or some variant of emotion that is born out of smallness. Ignorant, by little definition, is to be not in knowledge of, simple. So, quote, truth, unquote, is supposedly to be absolute, right? We kill over it, shame over it, fight over it, etc. Something that causes that harm should at least be founded in absolutism. No, but it cannot be. It's only partial. Our definition of, quote, truth, unquote, is false itself. So when you fuck up, apologize and move on. Stop whining. You're stopping your elevation. Come on and stop delaying your progression. So yeah, location-based generation search results in too many unlovingly handled young boys. We need to get our shit together, y'all. Come on. So to Kuan, rest in peace, to the boy who died with so little love by a woman who probably was acting out of intense disgust, hatred, absurdity within a woman's heart. That she took her son, her young son, who she is teaching this behavior to kill another young boy. Peace and love to the family of Bobby and anyone else who lost someone for any reason. And just a thought, because who are we truly to decide anyone's fate? But since we love to enact punishment on others within this world as if we were gods, karma, or whatever name you choose to describe the inevitability of balance and righteousness in this world, take this murderer of Bobby to prison in terms of endangerment to her own son, because this is murder. This is endangerment. This is deranged behavior. We're literally thinking of several charges you can give this woman, and the Iberia Parish Police are not putting forth enough of a fuck. And the people are literally crying in the streets. When you have a woman that has to be at her own son's rally, who was murdered by an unknown white woman and her little boy, what are we coming to, people? We cannot be this off the mark. Like, really? We can die by getting snatched off the street again? Still? Have we transported back to the late 18th, early 19th century? Yeah, that's back when hospitals were first emerging in America, when they needed bodies and cadavers to operate on, and within there would be the snatching of little black and brown girls to full-grown adults off the streets to harvest their bodies for their organs, for surgeries, dissections, and more. Some while they were still alive, and even some without sedation. They were called the Night Doctors and other related horrendous names. The Ku Klux Klan, of course, had to be involved. Feel free to look it up and verify. And did you know that the father of gynecology, so-called, J. Marion Sims, performed his experiments on stolen, enslaved women? And that's not all. They were experimented on while they were alive and unsedated. Oh yeah. And this dark pattern of medical institutes and misuse of ethics in the name of, quote, advancement, unquote, toward those of the Black community happened in the Tuskegee study, as well as the case of Henrietta Lacks, and the state-run programs of unsuspected forced sterilization of Black and brown mothers in North Carolina, and the injection of plutonium and other radioactive compounds into the unsuspecting patients that were already in the hospital due to other reasons, and so many more. The medical apartheid, the dark history of medical experimentation on Black Americans from the colonial times to the present, by Harriet A. Washington, truly opened our eyes. This is why Black Lives Matter. Because this shit started way back when, on the enslaved. Oh, and yeah, isn't it kind of crazy that when you say, quote, slave, unquote, there must be a dark-skinned person in your mental eye? Or is it that, excuse that laughter, this is not funny. Or is that just our social conditioning? Why, oh dear world, is a pigment of skin synonymous with eternal second-class citizenship forced to do hard labor? Look at the hierarchy that exists in every part of this earth, in every human, animal, or organism's kingdom. Oh wow, could we realize that possibly we are all connected so we can try to start handling people with respect? Because if you had the privilege to be raised by someone that even slightly loves you, and yes, that is a privilege, then you have an ounce of respect for them within you. And if you have felt an ounce of love for somebody and you're not so toxic, great. Keep avoiding being willing to fling yourself into tumultuous situations. But if you are feeling like this, please express yourself in a non-destructive and hopeful way of your choice. Please. Because you may be at a point of combustibility where you might head into a dire tribulation soon. It seems to be the world's way of attempting to alert, awaken, and redirect us. So be careful. Someone in the world does love you. Hint. Think of the most wonderfulest person that you can to make you feel as warm inside. Please be responsible and not creepy in this moment. Let's elevate, please, and sit in that warm feeling. So anyway, the point is this. There should not be a moment in our history in which a boy whose nickname is Bobby dies in the South in 2020 due to the actions of a gilded white woman. With all of our, quote, achievements, unquote, and, quote, advancements, unquote, we speak so fondly of and congratulate ourselves over. A situation eerily similar to a boy whose nickname is Bobo, who died in the South in 1955, the former 15 and the latter 14. Regardless of race, this is tragic. But race is a bastardly large variable to this equation, so it will not be dismissed. We are literally taking casual spaceship rides to other planets. We are advancing intellectually, yet not spiritually. If anything, we seem to be advancing intellectually at the inverse rates of which most of us are advancing, yet also disadvancing from spirituality. Why are there parts of us that are so broken within their hearts and or minds and or both, or suffering the triad of all three, that they are walking explosives and suffering mental disabilities and we are not making them well. Come on, healthcare, where y'all at? Why are we not moving those who are jaded because they feel trapped in whatever regard, whether due to physical spaces, i.e. ghettos and slums, mental spaces, i.e. neurodivergence and emotional instabilities, spiritual spaces, i.e. their nature conflicts with their regional and religion and beliefs, to an institute somewhere in a sunny location, an oasis somewhere where they can be healed and resettled within themselves, given fruits, veggies, herbs, and good seasoned food, okay? To all the folks who season their food, one, we are in appreciation of each and every one of us. High five. A little clap. If you didn't mentally high five us, you either hating or you need to get a hug because you were otherwise triggered. But it's okay. We still love you. But yes, we cannot be casually tripping to Mars, yet there are Black people dying at a rapid and inhumane rates in America, or any area on this planet for that matter. So yes, of course, Black Lives Matter, love, we're human. When did human rights stop being an issue we were fighting? Shit, we miss Michael Jackson. All he wanted was love, man. He became unbalanced because he didn't feel love. We all need to function. Not the fame and popularity. Real, non-toxic, nor self-degrading. I got your back in your lowest point, and I still will not turn our back on you. Love. When was the last time you took time to love? Enjoy the book. Divine. A note. In these next pages lay the names of all the Black people who have been killed unjustly within the world. Efforts were made to ensure that members of every community, without discrimination of any kind based on color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status such as disability, age, marital and family status, sexual orientation and gender identity, health status, place of residence, economic and social situation were included. Truthfully, if we were so triggered to feel our emotions because of the thoughts and experiences that we have had, we would be disgusted at this. Take from that sentiment the intense backwardness in which the statement prior was made. As Janae Aiko said, I'm triggered. I'm not okay. Anyway, there shouldn't have a moment in which a cultural icon to the children of the diaspora who know of him and bless the accomplishments and events had by this man. Yes, the Honorable John L. Lewis, rest in peace, can say the sentence, quote, Emmett Till was my George Floyd. He was my Rashad Brooks, Sandra Bland, and Breonna Taylor, unquote. Why does this have to happen within the lifetime of one person? Bless the strength of John Lewis, man. Rest in peace and serenity. Warning. Disclaimer. If you need to protect your mental space and happiness, we'd advise you not to read the below passages or look upon the relevant images and demonstrations. Love yourself. And loving yourself means doing what you truly need at that moment, as long as it's not destructive, to heal yourself, whether mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, or any other metaphysical way. Always love yourself, love. Always. We also want to make another disclaimer. We did the very best to include as many cases that we could find of those of the Black community killed while they were minding their own business in their everyday lives. Why only those who are being unbothered then killed? Because it is so that there is as little external variable other than the one's distasteful use of violence in the situation. So the blatant murder of the individual could be realized. No victim blaming. No he, she, they asked for it. Especially where there exists such a variety of techniques that should have been used to deter, subdue, etc. This is to show how the system that we live in abidance of has failed our community. It has failed us entirely too much and too many times. We also made an effort to try to produce a sectional book with as much unbiased information as possible. We want to lower the possibility in which the results listed below are disregarded, discredited, or otherwise disputed by the larger public audience, leaving the weight and impact of this book otherwise unrealized. We did it to the best of our best ability. We did it to our best ability. Now it's out of our hands. In the next pages, you will see killings related to the Black community, whether man, female, non-binary, transgender, or gender static, neurotypical or neurodivergent, and more. Okay, read at your own risk, and after, do something soothing to your soul, because this is just nonsense that is recurring at this rate. The obituary. Key. By name, we mean the name of the individual slain by perceived overwhelming and unnecessary force, especially police and citizen brutality. By age, we mean the age of the individual. By DOD, we mean the date of demise. Rest in peace to all. By LOD, we mean the location of demise. By officers involved, we mean a list of the names of officers related to the case. By body cam, we mean whether a body cam was used and footage was recoverable. By info, we mean information to provide context on the killing, but it is implored that everyone does their own research. By justice, we mean whether or not the family was given some form of care in accordance to the killing of their family members, or a police officer is given some sort of repercussion for the taking of someone's life. Remember, this is written in 2020, so changes may have occurred, hopefully. Kawan Bobby Charles, age 15, DOD, November 3rd, 2020. LOD, Iberia Parish, Louisiana. Officers involved, not applicable. Body cam, not applicable. Info. On October 30th, a white woman and her son, the son an alleged friend of Charles, yet the woman unknown to Charles's mother, R. Nelson, picks up Charles from his home. After a few hours, Nelson calls Charles' phone and no response, and she becomes worried and notifies police. Police officer... notifies the police officer that they may be at a football game. Charles goes missing until he is found on November 3rd. Though the police were notified, the media outlets were not immediately contacted as protocol of missing children cases. He was found, face mutilated, in a sugarcane field in Iberia Parish. Justice pending. Case handled by Chase Trickell. Rest in peace, Bobby. A.J. Crooms, age 16, DOD, November 13th, 2020. LOD, Cocoa, Florida. Officers involved, Jafet Santiago Miranda and Carson Hendren. Body cam? No. Info, cornered by gun-toting cops to stop their vehicle. Passengers are A.J. Crooms and S. Pierce. Drive past, and cops shoot one round into the direction of their vehicle. Cops continue to shoot more rounds to the car as it passes by them. Rest in peace. Justice pending. Case handled by Benjamin Crump. Rest in peace, AJ. Sincere Pierce, age 18, DOD, November 13th, 2020, LOD, Cocoa, Florida. Officers involved, Jafet Santiago Miranda and Carson Hendra. Body cam. Info, cornered by gun-toting cops to stop their vehicle. Passengers are A.J. Combs and S. Pierce. They drive past and cops shoot one round into the direction of their vehicle. The cops continue to shoot more rounds into the car as it passes by them. Rest in peace. Justice pending. Case handled by Benjamin Crump. Rest in peace, sincere. Justin D. Reed, age 33, DOD 11/4/2020, LOD, Jacksonville, Florida. Officers involved, G.A. Taylor, M.L. Mullis. Body cam on site, but not turned on. Info, shot and killed by two cops who were sitting outside of Reed's place of residence. He approaches the vehicle with a rifle and hits the unmarked and unknown car with the butt of his gun to inquire of who they are, yet was met with no response. We just want to unbiasedly bring up the Stand Your Ground law that saved George Zimmerman in his murder of Trayvon Martin in 2012. As stated by the late Reed's fiancé, S. Watson, quote, he said, "Who are y'all looking for?" Nobody said nothing. No police got out and said, "This is the sheriff's office." Nothing. Watson said, "Don't try to make him out to be this monster because he's not. He's protecting his family. I don't want nobody sitting in front of my house, parked in front of my house, and you're not telling me who you are." Unquote. Justice, officers fired at and killed Reed are placed on administrative leave. The other officer who did not fire, undisciplined. You decide. Other notes. Reed and Watson were to be married within a month. Rest in peace, Justin. Kevin E. Peterson, Jr., age 21, DOD 10/29/2020, LOD, Hazeldale, Washington. Officers involved, not applicable. Body cam, not applicable. Info, officers in the area were called by Clark, Vancouver Drug Task Force to conduct a narcotics investigation in the area. At the time of publication, the official reports vary, stating that Peterson fired a gun at the cops, to perhaps the shots were not fired by him. There was a gun found within distance of his body, the reports state. Justice pending. Case handled by Benjamin Crump. Other news. Peterson was on the video call with his girlfriend, O. Celto, during his last moments. She screen recorded the video call after she noticed Peterson Jr. seemed scared. There is even a captured moment after the round of shots fired end, and the officers peer into the phone, cover the view, and hang up. Rest in peace, Kevin. Breonna Taylor, age 23, DOD 3/13/2020, LOD, Louisville, Kentucky. Officers involved, Jonathan Mattingly, Brett Hankinson, and Miles Cosgrove. Body cam, yes. Info, officers knocked on the door of the residence of her boyfriend, Kay Walker, then forced entry without a warrant. The officers forced entry into the apartment as part of an investigation into drug dealing operations. The officers themselves state that they said a warning before entering, yet according to Walker, no such verbal warning was heard. Walker shoots at the incomers, stating he thought they were intruders. The officers then return his warning shot with 32 of their own. Breonna Taylor is hit by 6 bullets and killed in the crosshairs in the bedroom of the apartment where she was sleeping. Justice, the officer who fired the shots that killed Taylor was fired. Hankinson. The family was paid $12 million and promised reformed policing laws. The other officers, still patrolling the streets. Those laws, pending. You decide. Other notes, also research Carla Bermudez. Rest in peace to both Breonna and Carla. Walter Wallace, age 27, DOD 10/26/2020, LOD, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Officers involved, Thomas Munns and Sin Monterazzo. Body cam, yes. Info, officers were called to the residence by a family member to aid the family while Wallace was having a mental episode. Wallace, a man with a neurodivergent condition of bipolar disorder, approached the officers with a knife and didn't follow orders to drop the weapon, states the police. Wallace's mother, C. Wallace, stated that the officers knew that their son was in a mental health crisis because they had been called to the family residence several times within the week. The Philadelphia Police Chief Inspector, Frank Venor, said that each officer fired 7 rounds. Justice pending. Other notes, Wallace was killed in front of his mother and brother and leaves behind his wife, Dee Wallace, with the one on the way. In response to the shooting, Wallace's mother inquired of why the officers didn't use a taser to subdue her son. Rest in peace, Walter. Jacurion S. Jackson, age 19, DOD 10/24/2020, LOD, Sylvester, Georgia. Officers involved, unnamed at time of publication. Body cam, yes. Info, the unnamed policer, whose name is unreleased by Sylvester Police Department, pulled a car off. Excuse us. The unknown police officer, whose name is unreleased by Sylvester Police Department, pulled a car over for a traffic stop. The reason is currently unknown. The car then sped off and led to a chase in which the police officer lost the car. Calls of citizens come in stating that they saw a man that matched the description released by the department in the area in which the man was last seen. The officer approaches and shoots the man. The man is Jackson, and the reason for firing is still unspecified. Justice pending. Rest in peace, Jacurion. Warning, opinion piece. Hey, Black people, brown people, and those disproportionately decriminalized and killed within our communities. Let's all get dash cams. Better yet, let someone start a business. We're trying to circulate our dollar. So at least when they shoot us, God forbid, we have undismissible proof we were unjustly murdered. Lord of mercy. Marcellus Stinnett, age 19, DOD 10/20/2020, LOD, Waukegan, Illinois. Officers involved, unreleased at time of publication. Body cam, yes. Info, the family of Stinnett stated that he was killed by sitting in a car with his girlfriend, 20-year-old T. Williams, a mother of 2, who was driving the vehicle. They were unarmed. Justice pending. Williams' mother hired an attorney because she didn't believe what the Waukegan Police Department stated in their report. Note, there has been, knowingly, at least to the Black and brown community, a multitude of incorrectly reported cases. See the case of Ed Johnson in 1906 in the Scottsboro Boys. Officers involved placed on administrative leave. Other notes: in response, the sister of Marcellus Z. Banks stated, quote, "We would like justice, but we would also like police reform," unquote. Rest in peace, Marcellus. Tafara Williams, age 20, DOD, not applicable. LOD, not applicable. Officers involved, unreleased at time of publication. Body cam, yes. Williams inquired later of the police officers, "Why did you shoot?" "I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything wrong. I have a license. You didn't tell me I was under arrest," from her hospital bed. Her mother, C. Johnson, stated that, quote, "My daughter said she put her hands up, and if she didn't put her hands up, she would be dead," unquote. Justice pending. See Marcellus Stinnett. The best of healings to you, Tafara. Jonathan D. Price, age 32, DOD 10/3/2020, LOD Wolf City, Texas. Officers involved, Sean Lucas. Body cam, yes. Info: Price was at an Exxon and stepped in to de-escalate a domestic dispute between a man and a woman. It is stated that officer may have confused Price's disengaging as fighting the man. The family states that Price had his hands up while in explanation with the incoming officer, and the fight had been resolved. Price was tased, then shot 4 times in the torso. Currently, the Texas Department of Public Safety stated that Lucas's actions, quote, "were not objectively reasonable," unquote. Justice pending. Case handled by unknown. Other notes: Price was identified to never have been violent before this incident. He was a former college football player, a fan of Deion Sanders, and an avid health advocate. Sean Lucas has been known to have a history of harassing the citizens of the town. Rest in peace, Jonathan. Kurt A. Renholz, age 42, DOD 9/23/2020, LOD San Clemente, California. Officers involved, unreleased at time of publication. Body cam, not applicable. Info: Renhold was a homeless man who was killed in the midst of a struggle between him and the 2 homelessness liaison deputies. He was killed after one officer stated he managed to get his gun out of his holster. Justice pending. Rest in peace, Kurt. Robert Coleman, age 88, DOD 9/12/2020, LOD West Sacramento, California. Officers involved, unreleased at time of publication. Body cam, yes. Info: Coleman was killed after police in the area were responding to a call about an African American in their 30s wielding a gun. The officers noticed a gun as Coleman exited his car, which was located beyond a fleet of police cars, and fired several rounds. It is uncertain if Coleman's gun was even fired, yet the officers unloaded. Justice pending. Other notes: according to his family, He had recently been struggling with mental illness and had suicidal thoughts, police said. Rest in peace, Robert. No. It is here when we realized we had come to a decision. We were only in October of the year 2020. After hours and hours of research, and we knew we had a goal to reach all the way back into at least Trayvon Martin. Though we wish we could bring light to all the injustices made to each and every individual, we release ourselves of the self-induced obligation. There's simply too many. Rest in peace. There are men, women, both cis and transgendered, and gender non-conforming individuals who have stories who have been told, mistold, and even untold. So do your own research if you feel so inclined. Below is a simple list of those whose deaths were met unjustly by the hands of another who swore to respect and protect it. The men, may they rest in peace. Dejan Duran Kizzy, rest in peace. Rayshard Brooks, rest in peace. Carlos Carson, rest in peace. David McCarthy, rest in peace. Tony the Tiger McDade, rest in peace. George Perry Floyd, rest in peace. Dresjon Sean Reed, rest in peace. Michael Brent Charles Ramos, rest in peace. Daniel T. Prude, rest in peace. Manuel Manny Elijah Ellis, rest in peace. William Howard Green, rest in peace. John Elliott Neville, rest in peace. Elijah McLean, rest in peace. Ronald Green, rest in peace. Javier Ambler, rest in peace. Sterling Lapre Higgins, rest in peace. Gregory Lloyd Edwards, rest in peace. Amantic E.J. Fitzgerald Bradford Jr., rest in peace. Charles Chop Roundtree Jr., rest in peace. Chinadu Okobi, rest in peace. Anton Milbert LaRue Black, rest in peace. Botham Sim Jean, rest in peace. Antoine Rose Jr., rest in peace. Zahid Vassal, rest in peace. Stefan Alonzo Clark, rest in peace. Dennis Plowden Jr., rest in peace. Bian Yazier, rest in peace. Aaron Bailey, rest in peace. Jordan Edwards, rest in peace. Chad Robertson, rest in peace. Alfred Alongo, rest in peace. Terrence Crucher, rest in peace. Terrence Liddell Sterling, rest in peace. Joseph Curtis Maine, rest in peace. Philando Castile, rest in peace. Alton Sterling, rest in peace. Quintonio LeGrier, rest in peace. Tony McDade, rest in peace. Corey Lamar Jones, rest in peace. Jamar O'Neill Clark, rest in peace. Jeremy Bam Bam McDowell, rest in peace. Samuel Vincent DuBose, rest in peace. Brendan K. Glenn, rest in peace. Freddie Carlos Gray Jr., rest in peace. Walter Lamar Scott, rest in peace. Eric Courtney Harris, rest in peace. Philip Gregory White, rest in peace. Tony Terrell Robinson Jr., rest in peace. Jerome C. Reed, rest in peace. Roman Brisbane, rest in peace. Tamir Rice, rest in peace. Akai Kareem Gurley, rest in peace. Dante Parker, rest in peace. Azil Ford, rest in peace. Michael Brown Jr., rest in peace. John Crawford III, rest in peace. Tyree Woodson, rest in peace. Eric Garner, rest in peace. Dontre Hamilton, rest in peace. Victor White III, rest in peace. Jordan Baker, rest in peace. Andy Lopez, rest in peace. Barrington B.J. Williams, rest in peace. Jonathan Farrell, rest in peace. Carlos Alces, rest in peace. Jamarion Rashad Robinson, rest in peace. Larry Eugene Jackson Jr., rest in peace. Clinton R. Allen Jr., rest in peace. Clinton R. Allen, rest in peace. Jamal Moore Sr., rest in peace. Johnny Kamahi Warren, rest in peace. Timothy Russell, rest in peace. Noel Polanco, rest in peace. Ronaldo Cuevas, rest in peace. Travis Carter, rest in peace. Timon Robinson, rest in peace. Irvin Lee Jefferson, rest in peace. Kendrick McDade, rest in peace. Jersey K. Green, rest in peace. Wendell James Allen, rest in peace. Nehemia Lazar Dillard, rest in peace. Dante Lamar Price, rest in peace. Raymond Luther Allen Jr., rest in peace. Manuel Levi Loggins Jr., rest in peace. Dante Lamar Price, rest in peace. Raymond Luther Allen Jr., rest in peace. Manuel Levi Loggins Jr., rest in peace. Marley Graham, rest in peace. Kenneth Chamberlain Sr., rest in peace. Alonzo Ashley, rest in peace. Derek Williams, rest in peace. Raheem Brown Jr., rest in peace. Reginald Doucette, rest in peace. Derek Jones, rest in peace. Dan Roy DJ Henry Jr., rest in peace. Stephen Eugene Washington, rest in peace. Aaron Campbell, rest in peace. Kawan Carrington, rest in peace. Victor Steen, rest in peace. Sheem Walker, rest in peace. Oscar Grant III, rest in peace. Duanta Terrell Farrow, rest in peace. Sean Bell, rest in peace. Ronald Curtis Madison, rest in peace. James B. Brissett Jr., rest in peace. Henry Ace Glover, rest in peace. Timothy Stainsbury Jr., rest in peace. Usman Zongo, rest in peace. Orlando Barlow, rest in peace. Nelson Martinez Mendez, rest in peace. Timothy Dwayne Thomas Jr., rest in peace. Ronald Beasley, rest in peace. Earl Murray, rest in peace. Timothy Dwayne Thomas Jr., rest in peace. Ronald Beasley, rest in peace. Earl Murray, rest in peace. Patrick Moses Dorismond, rest in peace. Prince Carmen Jones Jr., rest in peace. Malcolm Ferguson, rest in peace. Amadou Diallo, rest in peace. Nicholas Hayward Jr., rest in peace. Michael Jerome Stewart, rest in peace. Arthur Miller Jr., rest in peace. Randolph Evans, rest in peace. Barry Jean Evans, rest in peace. Henry Dumays, rest in peace. The women, may they rest in peace. Tatiana Coquise Jefferson, rest in peace. Charlena Chavon Lyles and her soon-born child, rest in peace. Deborah Danner, rest in peace. Corinne Gaines, rest in peace. Betty Boo Jones, rest in peace. India Caker, rest in peace. Sandra Bland, rest in peace, Soror. Maya Shawatsa Hall, rest in peace. Megan Hockaday, rest in peace. Janisha Fonville, rest in peace. Natasha McKenna, rest in peace. Tanisha N. Anderson, rest in peace. Gabriela Monique Navarez, rest in peace. Yvette Smith, rest in peace. Mackenzie J. Cochran, rest in peace. Miriam Iris Carey, rest in peace. Kayam Livingston, rest in peace. Nina Pop, rest in peace. Dominique Remy Fells, rest in peace. Kimana Kiki Gray, rest in peace. Kayla Moore, rest in peace. Shelley Marie Frey, rest in peace. Darnisha Deanna Harris, rest in peace. Leyland Extravaganza Kubilet Polanco, rest in peace. Melissa Willam Williams, rest in peace. Alicia Thomas, rest in peace. Raya Milton, rest in peace. Chantel Davis, rest in peace. Shamel T. Edwards, rest in peace. Rakia Boyd, rest in peace. Monica Diamond, rest in peace. Sharice Francis, rest in peace. Ayana Monet Stanley Jones, rest in peace. Tarika Wilson, rest in peace. Catherine Johnson, rest in peace. Alberta Spruill, rest in peace. Kendra Sari James, rest in peace. Margaret Laverne Mitchell, rest in peace. Latanya Haggerty, rest in peace. Taisha Shanae Miller, rest in peace. Danette Strawberry Daniels and her soon-born child, rest in peace. Frankie Ann Perkins, rest in peace. Mary Mitchell, rest in peace. Yvonne Smallwood, rest in peace. Eleanor Bumpers, rest in peace. Eula May Love, rest in peace. Rita Lloyd, rest in peace. Parley Golden, rest in peace. Lavina Lynn Johnson, rest in peace. Michelle Cousseau, rest in peace. Kimberly Randall King, rest in peace. Alexia Christian, rest in peace. Kiam Livingston, rest in peace. Miriam Iris Carey, rest in peace. Shanique Proctor, rest in peace. Their sheer number and the closeness in their deaths are jarring. Look at their stories. Look at their faces. Look who and what were left in their wake. Mourning mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, lovers, extended families, communities, and more. Look at them and understand that there truly is no difference between you, whether you are in the most privileged conditions or the most wretched, and them. Realize with the truest part of your being that it is only the condition of our society that devalues humans, simply due to the melanin within their skin, and allows them to be murdered, raped, kidnapped, imprisoned, criminalized, placed in slums and less developed and undesirable areas, and even showered with dismissal from society, to the point in which they place bleaching products on their skin. Realize that this is a divergence in the belief of human rights and liberty and justice to all, and the advancement of us all. Realize that we all need to do better. It's okay if you need to take a step away. Epilogue. So first, do what you need to do to relieve yourself of the negative pressure, otherwise known as tension and stress or other physical pressure, and negative emotion, otherwise known as intense anger, sadness, or other emotional state, out of your body, mind, heart, and soul. As wonderful and humane and what we call empathetic, But truly, just feeling pitiful for someone who is going through a trial and tribulation within their life doesn't help them. This is, quote, misery loves company, unquote, in subconscious effect. We have been taught that to feel the same emotion as someone in their lowness is the way in which to tie or bond with a person. But yes, to feel an emotion for someone essentially, whether you believe that is to be felt momentarily or if the effect is everlasting, essentially ties or connects you to them, but is not the only or arguably best way. As the notion to feel is, we almost realize that to acknowledge and feel is only the first step. We must act. So be careful of your connections. Do better because you know better. It doesn't matter if you have known for a long time and just didn't act due to procrastination, fear, or some other hindrance, which includes from intentionally distracting or busying yourself to just allowing yourself to be defeated by your lethargy and energy. We can all do better, ourselves included. Love yourself and do better. Now, we ask that you take the information that we have gathered and to take the sheer energy, not the negative or positive aspect of it, but looking only at the sheer quantity and power of it, and sit and think. Whether that is a meditation, a bath, a shower, a blunt. Y'all, let's quit playing and end the discrimination against cannabis within the Western world. This is a side note. We all have to come to understand that Nancy did a very immoral move, whether intentionally or unintentionally / ignorantly. Remember our definition, not the society-pushed connotation that invokes shame. By supporting her husband and endorsing propaganda that led to a war on the whole race, arguably races of people, for decades. I love all people. We love all people. Y'all, those active within this generation, yes, some folks older than, quote, this disgraceful generation that is destroying things as we know it, unquote, as the prior generation tends to call the current, are acting just as young and wild with us. They're like the new kids on the block, the new kids doing some different shit. Sometimes they're bullied, even outcast entirely because they're different, but it's slick, cool. Like the facts that we are protesting against human rights again, i.e., rights of Black people in America, of those within the LGBTQIA+ umbrella and community, and of women and of children, of course. Let's sit and figure what we can do to mobilize and help. Need some help? In the case of mortality, during a heated course of action with citizens and police officers, perhaps ensure that the officer takes a minimum range of months, let's say 3+ months, on administrative leave without pay, then enforce that there must be some emotional intelligence and control training before returning. What about community service? And not picking up trash where they can sit in their cars for an extended period of time until it passes over. But community service that handles problems that are spoken by the community themselves, not assumed solutions to unexpressed problems completed for the sake of erasure for white guilt, or any privileged guilt for that matter. Side note, hey, looks like there is a police reform rule. Though it took months to figure out those, or at least that's what it seems it said, for the lack of speed in the production of them, as promised to the Taylor family. Not only does the punishment have to fit the crime, but also it must be enough of a negative reinforcement to not encourage the thought of committance again. In the case of general accusation and confusion in African American males and non-distinctive searches for criminalized peoples, 1, we must admit that in the law and order industry, yes, industry, what isn't these days, those with darker skin are generally understood and assumed to be dangerous. Misunderstood more so. To the point where an 80-year-old volunteer with the right to bear arms is shot dead for being mistaken for a 30-year-old assailant that escaped, for which the force put a search out for. Stop shooting black targets, like physically black targets. Stop for a second and think of the images of black people who are projected to you via your surroundings. Do you even know a real person of color? And semi-immediate to immediate African descent. What do you think that the image of danger, why do you think that the image of danger and melanation have been so synonymous since the past few centuries? Just think. Why does a 12-year-old boy need to be shot dead for playing with water pistols, i.e. Tamir Rice, or jogging in the street, i.e. Ahmaud Arbery? We need to stop and correct, because either a race war is arising or continues to, or we are all about to die of the stress and exhaustion that matriculates from just being wrong just for breathing. Thank you to those who founded or work in nonprofits around the world. And thank you to those who may not work in the sector of industry, but volunteer. Thank you to those who, when they cannot donate their time, donates and distributes their wealth and or resources. Whether if in your region is referred to as a nonprofit or just kindness or some other term entirely, the world needs our kindness, and we know we can make it. With all the spiritual impurity that exists in the world, there must exist goodness, pure goodness. It's balance. Like that feeling on Saturday morning when after a long week of work, you know that finally you are about to do exactly what you want to do later in that day. Be full in that good feeling. Create it every day if you can. Whether that is in the mean of food, nutritious food, or life itself. Side note, but to be honest, these are synonymous, no? To those who have goodness in their heart, produce it. Stop stopping yourself and saying no. The world will do that for you anyway. 1, let's just identify the importance of bringing forward, as Robert T. Kiyosaki notes upon in, quote, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, unquote. It is okay to produce income by switching time for money, but that profit is only to the first degree. Do you think that's how Beyonce or Patti LaBelle or Stevie Wonder or Jeff Bezos or Steve Jobs or Pharrell Williams or Rihanna or SZA or No Name or Tierra Whack or all these other amazing artisans and entrepreneurs make their incredible productions into the world by themselves? No, they have teams to maximize their efforts. Essentially, their success is equivalent to the work they input, raised to the power of their team's effectiveness. Quote, pain is inevitable, yet suffering is a choice, unquote. Though there is so much suffering in the world, see above, or just read your closest news source, our suffering can also be self-induced as well. This is what it means to be self-destructive. It doesn't have to be only causing physical harm to yourself. It can also be eating that cookie when you know you're really trying to lose weight because you want to do something with determination and succeed. Sometimes we give ourselves challenges when we are unstimulated. This is similar to causing physical harm by those young-minded in autism or other neurodivergent mental capabilities due to some environmental trigger, and also laying in your bed longer than you should. No matter what the time is reached, we all feel it internally. So this is your wake-up call. Do the business idea. Side note, suggestion. Keep a day job to avoid unnecessary stress, or get a startup business loan or grant. It's up to you to determine what that unnecessary stress is. Experiment within your sexuality. Fall in love, take the class, do the trip, go skinny dipping, kiss that crush, travel the world. Do what you want to do. And while you're at it, be paid well while doing it, whether you are an employee, a small or large business order, or unemployed. Think bigger, darling, for our ancestors who dreamed of doing so. Because eventually you will be guided or pushed if you're not being in tune, whether willingly and intentionally or ignorantly, intentionally, etc., back to what you need to do. You just have to be still and aware enough to listen. Be well, loves. We have to fix this world before we experience what those apocalyptic movies of the late 19th century demonstrated. Movies about our machines taking over, or Hunger Games, or insert name of preferred near-apocalyptic or post-apocalyptic movie here, for that matter. Side note, not to stir emotions again, but as a student of technology, understand that artificial intelligence can already move, speak, see, reason, and more. So yeah, all we're saying is the architect should always know and create a fail-safe kill code. Please. Time tells us that navigating life according to the knowledge of what we call our rhythms, characteristics, personality, and what we call the quote signs, unquote, that we experience, show progression by the majority every time. Let's learn from the mistakes of our histories and stop all this madness, at least until there arises another event of man acting of ill will or ignorance and giving a mass group of population the proverbial short stick. Love yourself. Enjoy life. Live well. Enjoy love with other ones. And while you're at it, produce your preferred amount so you can live the life you always dreamed of. So we can stop spreading all this hatred. Insert list of synonyms that also refer to negative expression of emotions. We're a Black woman in America. So the level of irritation to our soul and psyche and the sheer lack of disrespect experienced by those of us who have faced those with the audacity to blatantly do so under the shade of their own design cause our level of bullshit to deal with and still be able to refresh and get up the next moment and not slip into the slippery slope of low energy, whether depression, lethargy, or any other expression, to all raise unfavorably. In our ethnicity, and ethnicities like ours, our generations have lived through abusive parenting techniques and abusive negative self-talk and self-imagery. Side note, some say that this negative view of self-worth stems from the physical, emotional, psychological breaking of our ancestors in slavery. Mothers who were more likely than not to remain with the children while the fathers were sent elsewhere in an effort to uproot the strength of the family in each individual, would degrade the child they watched over to the masters in an effort for their children to not be removed or sold elsewhere from them for profit. Due to pictures of what public schools I painted, Kendrick Lamar said it beautifully, and from the inheritance of our mothers and fathers. Not in efforts to destroy, but simply because they didn't know better or didn't see how doing better would benefit them. Quote, damned if I do and damned if I don't, unquote, does not speak of not wanting to do better, but seeing time and time again that trying to do better left us killed, ostracized, or otherwise harmed. And the school's books that raised our generations painted our minds with the selected information and opinion of the same minds whose were painted by their parents of high equity or status. For to even create and properly distribute the book, they needed to have the knowledge or the capital or the leverage/network to procure the resources needed to be successful in that task. And those minds were painted by propagandas, filtered through every channel from their neighbor to the news, that those of our ethnicity are less than, in their eyes, criminal, not deserving of. We all should know that there are brilliant minds and ideas all across the globe, in the ghettos and slums, as well as the most price-gougingly priced private schools and related educational self-improvement or rehabilitation programs. It's access. That's what we mean by privilege and equity and capital. We even reference a gatekeeper. Side note, pro tip, to accomplish the life of your dreams, find a mentor that is doing exactly what you want to do. Find several if it's needed. Learn from them and replicate all that serves you. Establish a good relationship. Keep the contact and disregard any advice from someone in which that aspect of their life, from which there reflects the effect of recreating the works related to that advice, you will not wish to replicate. Bruce Lee references phenom or philosophy of thought amazingly one time. Everything you need is already within you. We are one. We are made in God's image. Sanctuary. Insert phrase of your cultural persuasion that replicates this sentiment because it is reflected in so many. So go and get it. Stop waiting for it. Your dreams realize we mean. Whatever it is, as long as it's not destructive or otherwise harmful to yourself or others. Much love. Now be great. And as always, make it a wonderful day. Other information pertinent to be seen. Found during research. Quotes, after Michael Brown, an unarmed black man, was killed in 2014 by police in Ferguson, Missouri. A post-investigation found that the FBI undercounted fatal police shootings by more than half. This is because reporting by police departments is voluntary, and many departments fail to do so, unquote. Side note, there should be an organization in place whose rule is to, quote, police the police, quote. Kamau said it best in his song, Police. In July 2014, a cell phone video captured some of Eric Gardner's final words as New York City police officers sat on his head and pinned him to the ground on a sidewalk. I can't breathe. On May 25th of this year, 2020, the same words were spoken by George Floyd, who pleaded for release as the officer knelt on his neck and pinned him to the ground on a Minneapolis street. Side note, again, how many times do you have to see related deaths too similar to comfort until we realize that the call to action needs to be answered by the police, else we receive another reminder. We're not sure about y'all, but we'll be damned if there's another Black person who utters any words of related natures. Appendix. The rate at which Black Americans are killed by police is more than twice as high as the rate for white Americans. Credits the Washington Post. Untitled, John Lewis. While my time here has now come to an end, I want you to know that in the last days and hours of my life, you've inspired me. You've filled me with hope about the next chapter of the great American story, when you used your power to make a difference in our society. Millions of people motivated simply by human compassion laid down the burdens of division. Around the country and the world, you set aside race, class, age, language, and nationality to demand respect for human dignity. That is why I had to visit Black Lives Matter Plaza in Washington, though I was admitted to the hospital the following day. I just had to see and feel it for myself that after many years of silent witness, the truth is still marching on. Emmett Till was my George Floyd. He was my Rayshard Brooks, Sandra Bland, and Breonna Taylor. He was 14 when he was killed, and I was only 15 years old at the time. I will never ever forget the moment when it became so clear that he could have easily been me. In those days, fear constrained us like an imaginary prison, and troubling thoughts of potential brutality committed for no other understandable reason were the bars. Though I was surrounded by two loving parents, plenty of brothers, sisters, and cousins, their love could not protect me from the unholy oppression waiting just outside that family circle. Unchecked, unrestrained violence and government-sanctioned terror had the power to turn a simple stroll to the store for some Skittles or an innocent morning jog down a loathsome country road into a nightmare. If we are to survive as one unified notion, we must discover what so readily takes root in our hearts that could rob Mother Emanuel Church in South Carolina of her brightest and best, shoot unwitting concert goers in Las Vegas, and choke to death the hopes and dreams of a gifted violinist like Elijah McClain. Like so many young people today, I was searching for a way out, or some might say a way in. And then I heard the voice of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on an old radio. He was talking about the philosophy and discipline of nonviolence. He said, we are all complicit when we tolerate injustice. He said it is not enough to say it will get better by and by. He said each of us has a moral obligation to stand up, speak up, and stand out. Speak out, excuse us. When you see something that is not right, you must say something.
You must do something. Democracy is not a state. It is an act, and each generation must do its part to help build what we call the beloved community, a motion and world society at peace with itself. Ordinary people with extraordinary vision can redeem the soul of America by getting in what I call good trouble, necessary trouble. Voting and participating in the democratic process are key. The vote is the most powerful nonviolent change agent you have in a democratic society. You must use it because it is not guaranteed. You can lose it. You must also study and learn the lessons of history because humanity has been involved in this soul-wrenching existential struggle for a very long time. People on every continent have stood in your shoes through decades and centuries before you. The truth does not change, and that is why the answers worked out long ago can help you find solutions to the challenges of our time. Continue to build union between movements stretching across the globe because we must put away our willingness to profit from the exploitation of others. Though I may not be here with you, I urge you to answer the highest calling of your heart and stand up for what you truly believe. In my life, I have done all I can to demonstrate that the way of peace, the way of love and nonviolence is the more excellent way. Now it is your turn to let freedom ring. When historians pick up their pens to write the story of the 21st century, let them say that it was your generation who laid down the heavy burdens of hate at last, and that peace finally triumphed over violence, aggression, and war. So I say to you, walk with the wind, brothers and sisters, and let the spirit of peace and the power of everlasting love be your guide. Credits, John L. Lewis. Credits to Washington Post, Al Jazeera, News for Jacks, Columbian, The New York Times, CBS News, The Philadelphia Inquirer, WRCB-TV, ABC News, ABC 7 Chicago, Fox 4, Fox 11, CBS Local, People Magazine, Black Lives Matters Protests, Black Pass, Dangerous Objects, by Mercy Garriga, Armed and Dangerous, an examination of fatal shootings of unarmed Black people by police by Professors Cassandra Cheney and Ray V. Robertson, Renee Atter, Vox, USA Today, WYNC Studios, Short Form, Irina Shah, The Paris Review, History, NPR, Thought, CO, The Dark History of Medical Experimentation on Black Americans from colonial times to the present, by Harriet A. Washington. McGill University, Office for Science and Society. The Human Plutonium Injection Experiments by William Moss and Roger Eckart. MSNBC, ABC News. Y with 2 Y's. Innocence Project, Boston 25 News. Diversity Inc., Fox, California. Texas Tribune, them in divinenurux, and of course, Wikipedia. Side note, no, we would normally not cite Wikipedia in our sources. It has always been the trusty pal that started our quest for knowledge, that we would then defend or disregard its info based on whether we could also find it elsewhere. But now they are on the verge of being dismantled because they want to remain a private company and in need of revenue. So support Wikipedia before it's brought by another company. We'll most likely keep its domain the same, to retain the trust of the brand, yet can use it to push their own propaganda. We don't need any more fake news. Afterward, with all the hands up, don't shoot, peaceful protesting we did in the wake of the death of Michael Brown, you think that all could have been well. Everyone we know that was black or brown knew that the second a cop stops you, fly your hands up. Verbalize any movements you are going to make in premeditation, especially gathering the license and registration that you most likely will be asked for in premeditation, so they won't shoot you on sight because they assume you have a gun. And pray to the heavens that you don't have a weapon in the car, even one you have a license to carry for, because we're already assumed dangerous. Yet, white men can walk around and protest outside city halls and even the White House, rifles and machinery in full display. Side note, we would laugh in disbelief if we weren't so tired of this bullshit. But alas, with the increased sales of handheld weapons in the wake of the Trump administration, more members of the Black community are exercising their right to the Second Amendment of the country that they call home. Yet, the act to self-protect seems just to be another reason added to the list of ways you can be killed in America. Sleeping, see Breonna Taylor. Selling CDs, see George Floyd. Seeing your extended family in Mississippi and getting lied on that you catcalled her, see Emmett Till. Protesting at your city's courthouse, see Lamar Ditney Smith. Trying to get into your aunt's house, see Kawayne Carrington, being murdered, then having your bloodied hair stroked by an officer who apologizes to your dead body that he was sorry for killing you. He thought you had a gun. See Latanya Haggerty. In your own home, see Eula May Love. Having an officer called to your home by your friend as to perform a welfare check, then being suffocated. See Kayla Moore. It's sickening. And may we mention disorienting to the psyche of Black and brown people who have to learn at the same age that one begins to start making friends outside of the family, that they need to also be on high alert because their life can be taken at any second for any reason due to the actions by anybody. And the main reason, the color of their skin. No matter how smart or challenged you are, how kind or callous you are, how strong or weak you are, how selfless or selfish you are, how blended or pure you are, how Caribbean, Hispanic, African, Asian, etc. Your skin identifies as a target to the eyes of society and the forces funded to protect it. Now tell us, how well do you think your health would be if you were in the same predicament? How stressed, how addicted to comforting foods, how depressed. But again, who are we to say these things? Also, there was an uncanny amount of cases, primarily involving Black men, that were not involved in the above listing. They were gang affiliated and face covered in tattoos, and that little voice inside us that we all have, what we call intuition, conspired that the showing of their pictures would discredit their cases. Side note, small opinion piece here, but if there is a Black man, grown, working as a sales clerk at a convenience store, see Maurice Parker, presumed gang affiliated, this guy might just be trying to get his life back on the right, quote unquote, track. But let us tell you, the drugs that were pushed into the Black and brown communities around the time of the Reagan and Nixon era that are still there were as destructive to the fabric of the thin 70s loving, quote, right on brother, unquote, community as they were lucrative. So give someone whose home is ravished by the introduction of drugs, welfare housing that requires single-parent homes for support, and all sorts of self-hatred as woven into the diasporic condition from modern-day colorism, gender hatred from both sides who have been split apart strategically since the times of Willie Lynch and more, then place them in areas with low economic return, where getting a job, if few and far between in your immediate area, and your caretakers are depending on you to help them handle the family's expenses, a way to make money, and a plethora of it. And no one should understand how a young child can get involved in such, quote, heinous, unquote, field of employment. For it is still employment. And at our base levels, we must all provide. The span of compassion for others have crept to a close of only your family, if they haven't also harmed you in some way that you feel you cannot forgive, and you. So yeah, you'll sell drugs to bring money to your family, even if it destroys the community from the inside out, see crack, or causes no notable harm of scientific evidence, see cannabis. It's not, quote, heinous, unquote. That's an opinion from your place of privilege and access, being able to dissect the good and bad of a situation. It's called surviving, something no one should judge unless they are helping. And even then, who is anyone to judge? In part, we also want to bring to light other atrocious ways of life that are being lived by those of the diasporic community. Corruption versus the citizens of Africa. Police and government and more are killing peaceful protesters, mainly protesting the ineffectiveness of their governments, who are primarily controlled by European countries and company owners, as well as police brutality to innocent citizens, especially in Nigeria, Uganda, and South Africa. Genocide and destruction of home in Africa versus the extraction of materials. A travesty as old as time itself. In the previous ages, it was the raping and ravaging of the homeland for its precious stones and natural minerals. Today, it's still the same. plus the extraction of materials mandatory for the construction of telephones and modern-day machinery, especially in our home we're kin to, the Democratic Republic of Congo. Non-separation of church and state in the Western world versus the LGBT plus community. Those from youth to elder face harm due to the choice in whom they choose to love. Though some members have had base non-discriminatory rights included with those of the straight persuasion, including job procurement, one still has to fight to be seen in the street together without eliciting harm to themselves and or their loved ones. The Middle East and the Abrahamic religion versus women. Women still need to persuade others of the right to exercise their own thoughts, actions, and even everyday needs, like driving to the store, on their own, because the belief is so strong that the woman is only a subset of the man's ability and power. Insert any other world calamity you know of here. This was not a book that would attempt to comprehensively state all the wrongs in the world and to the peoples in it. That would take a millennia, and maybe more. It's a book to break through the bubble of a worldview you may have had. We are all suffering in some extent. The earth itself is on the verge of molting. Technology companies are operating larger, or at least incomparable in magnitude and authority, as our governments. Our governments have been invaded more or less by members of the far left and the far right. Side note, some will call this fascism, but who are we to bring up the tumultuousness of our past and having anyone with a strong opinion that believes they are right and need not listen to the discernments of the larger republic enter our governments? See Hitler, Mussolini, Trump, Kim Jong-un, etc. Because we have all become so divided. It's time to wake up to our flaws. We all have them, so don't think you're better or worse than the next person. We all have within us what is needed to better our lives, even if your environment has attempted time and time again to convince you otherwise. We wish us all the best. Let's fix this, because we are the ones who fucked it up in the first place. Before another disaster has to wake us up in an effort to deter us from our own self-destruction. Gallery. Pictured is a poster held up that says Black Trans Lives Matter. Also showing a beautiful painting of Tony McDade and Nina Pop. Among the myriad of pressures felt to even feel comfortable within your own skin that we all face, members of the trans community have to battle that standard pressure, plus minimization and friction from non-trans humans, atop of minimization by members of the force, and erasure within popular news. Come on, people. Why are we judging like any of us are perfect models of humanoids? We all know. Otherwise, stop lying to yourself that we are all just trying to figure it out. Pictured is a young boy holding a poster that reads, "We demand and we will get justice for Tamir," featuring a beautiful picture of
Tamir Rice. Next, pictured is a man and a woman in what appears to be a march in the city. The man dressed incredibly with a bow tie. The woman wrapped beautifully in a head wrap and wearing warm clothing, holding a poster that says, quote, "How can I prepare kids for the world if I'm not preparing the world for the kids?" Below pictures another beautiful picture of Tamir Rice, below which has his date of life on this earth, ranging from 2002 to 2014. Protests arose in the wake of the death of Tamir Rice, who was killed while playing with a toy gun, which the officer mistook as otherwise. This boy was entirely too young, and his intentions entirely too innocent. Next, pictured is the mother of Philando Castile, looking beautiful, dressed in a deep blue dress, surrounded by paintings and artwork of her son. Behind both, or all, if you will, a mural of his face as well. Mother of Philando Castile, Valerie Castile, keeps the memory of her son alive, who was murdered due to a traffic stop by a cop assuming he was reaching for a firearm after Castile attempted to verbally warn the officer that he had a firearm within the car, yet he was reaching for his wallet. She keeps his memory alive by paying off school lunch debt to aid in the ease of feeding the children of our community. Next, pictured is a funeral procession of men moving as pallbearers, focused intently on placing the casket beautifully in the ground, behind which is a family covered in masks. Above, the community of A.J. Chromes joined to honor the life of this young man who died alongside Sincere Pierce. Below, a young boy holds a sign that says, "Bear what should be known intellect." Oh, apologies. Let's read it like this. The next picture is a young boy whose hands bravely hold up a sign that says Black Lives Matter. This young boy holds a sign that says, "Bear what should be known intellect. Black lives matter," while they're living, not just posthumously as a hashtag. Next is the photos of Emmett Bobo Till. On the left, his image while living, him beautifully dressed in a fedora and a collared shirt. And the image to the right is the picture of him that was viewed from his open casket that his mother chose to show the public how dismembered he became. The depths of Emmett Bobo Till, and Kawan Bobby Charles are too close for comfort, and the nature of their deaths honestly make us feel disgraced that as a human that we can do this to each other. Below is also a side-by-side picture of Kawan Bobby Charles. Left, his image while living. Young-faced, natural hair, wearing a white shirt and a solemn expression. Right, his image when he was pulled from the water. Mutilated. Both mutilated. Next is a photo that has a picture of a candle lit in front of a sign being held, and that sign says, "Justice for Kawan." Followed by a photo of a young boy holding a poster that reads, $5,000 reward. An attempt to understand what happened to Kawan Bobby Charles. Behind him stands men and women, adults, masked and protesting. This young boy joins his community in protest of the perceivably dismissed missing child's case of Kawan Bobby Charles that ended in his homicide. There still leaves plenty of questions and mourning community. Next is a side-by-side photo of us marching in the 1960s for human rights. Black, brown, white, men, women, and all the wonderfuls who know that these pronouns are societal's doing. To the left, in the black and white photo, they're holding signs to say, "We demand equal rights now. We demand decent housing now." The Baptist Ministers Conference The signs stretch as far back as the photo and disappears into the distance. And they march surrounded by trees. To the right of this photo is us in present day, holding signs that say, "Where's your humanity? Justice, peace. White supremacy is the virus. No justice, no peace. Enough is enough, Black Lives Matter," and many, many more. Again, black, brown, white, women, men, and everyone beautiful, protesting peacefully. Time yields little comparison in the search and request for human rights. Issues such as equal rights and decent housing still exist in current ages, yet are accompanied by the issues of overt and unnecessary police brutality and supremacist ideals. To be honest, it's always been these and others. Next, pictures arrived after Eric Garner. Fire burning in the background, haze filling the air. Black folk with fists raised proudly in the air, some holding signs to say, "I can't breathe," most masked, standing in front of the Minneapolis police, others unmasked. Cities burn in the wake of deaths such as Eric Garner, yet another case of overt and unnecessary police brutality that ended in the death of a civilian selling merchandise in his community. He provided no struggle to arrest, yet still applied massive force and detainment, even using an illegal police move, the chokehold. Next, pictures, peaceful protests. Black people holding signs that say liberty and justice for all. A sign commemorating George Floyd, Castile, others that read, "I can't breathe," and many, many more signs, such as Black Lives Matter, and a sign having names such as Bland, Martin, and others, masked in protest. Following, there is a picture, another peaceful protest, all taking a knee, black, white, brown, and union, masked, with signs that read, "We demand police accountability. Silence is consent. No justice, no peace. All lives don't matter until Black lives matter." And many more. Masked. All with the fist raised in the air proudly. Protesters joined to peacefully advocate for awareness of police accountability in hopes of reform and the deterrence of erasure of Black lives. Next, pictured is a peaceful walk, the march across Edmund Pettus Bridge, having a picture of a young John Lewis and many others dressed impeccably. John Lewis leads the march in 1965. And below, celebrating 50 years of that march, John Lewis is pictured again among a company of many Black women, men, white women, men, and others. In the name of civil rights for African American people. Following is another picture of the 2015 remembrance of the march, having a picture showing Obama, Barack Obama, John Lewis, Michelle Obama, and many other incredible figures of our culture, history, and people, holding hands as they continue to march across. John Lewis, accompanied by President Barack Obama and his First Lady, Michelle Obama, among many others, crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge, marking 50 years since the march from Selma to Montgomery, led by civil rights leaders prior. The next photo, a protest with men demonstrating that they cannot breathe by placing their hands crossed across their neck Black men, white woman, black woman, protesting in unison, in unity, holding signs that say, "We can't breathe, we can't breathe." Demonstrators of various ethnicities joined together in their protest of the proliferation of unnecessary and murderous police discord with the now popularized phrase of grave relations. Next, pictured as a woman, mother, holding a sign that says #JusticeForJam, below which has a beautiful smiling picture of Jamarian Robinson, dressed impeccably in a red shirt that also says that he was shot 76 times. Behind this woman holds many others in support. Black, white, young, elders. Yes, you heard that right. Community joins family in marching in the wake of Jamarian Robinson, excruciatingly, exceedingly brutalized death. Next is a photo of black women, men, and all the beautifuls in protest. One sign saying, "My skin tone is not a crime." Another one saying, "I am an outspoken black female who knows my rights. It could happen to me. I am Sandra Bland." Next is a photo of another peaceful protest with a woman in a red shirt and a red headband holding a sign that says blatantly, "You are killing us." To the right of that photo shows another peaceful protest in a neighborhood. Black, white, men, women, and all the wonderfuls. One sign reads, "I also know that while I am black, I am a human being." It also reads, "Black Lives Matter," and the author of that quote. Signs across the nation blatantly state the disdain of the unnecessary force, brutality, and blatant murder used by those who are supposed to protect and serve. Next is a photo of youth, beautiful black youth, holding signs in remembrance of Sandra Bland. One reading, "Cops lie," #what happened to Sandra Bland. Another one reading, "You asked me what was wrong, and I'm trying to tell you." Quote, unquote. Another one reading, "Sandy speaks," quote, "Do what you can to be a positive light in someone's life." Sandra Bland. Another one reading, Sandra speaks, "It's time to stop knowing that was going to happen, and it's time to start doing something." Sandra Bland. Amongst many, many others. In front stands a woman dressed beautifully, impeccably in a white dress and a blue and red head wrap, holding a megaphone, speaking our truth. Used protest in the wake of death of Sandra Bland, whose manipulated mugshot shocked the nation into understanding a truth. Cops lied too. Disclaimer. All the above photos are not our own. We only wish we were able to photograph this living history. The photographers were not listed upon discovery, and we do not wish for the lack of credit to be displaced. We thank each and every photographer for their addition to history.